Okay, what I've done here is create an assignment where you're solving all different types of equations. Now you kind of have a guide to help you out. First thing, and then this is like your opening page, and you might have to turn to the back if you have to factor to remind you how to set those up. So it has how many answers, and well, since we have x to the second power, there's 2 that I'm looking for. Now, what do I have for x? Well, what I have here is I make a little box off the side, and I have x to the second power, and we also have regular x to the first power, okay? So if I have x to the second and x, we need to use factoring, so I need to make sure we have equals 0, okay? So I'm going to write factoring, and the 0 is there. Now, when we use factoring, we need to flip this over and count how many terms we have, okay? So it appears to me we have 1, 2, 3, so 3 terms. So I want to set this up. Okay, so I make my GCF chart. And then my T chart, so I'm going to attempt to factor that expression. So GCF. Now we don't have a negative. We also don't have X on everything here. And 1's my smallest, so there is no GCF. Okay, so ABC. So again, I want to take A times C, okay? So I'm going to be taking positive 1 times positive 14, and that's 14. And it's positive, so if it's positive, we're looking for a sum that's going to equal 9, okay? So 14 divided by 1 is 14, but that's not 9, okay? 14 divided by 2 is 7. 2 plus 7 is 9. So there we go. Okay. So A equals 1. So I know it will factor. I just need to now factor it correctly. So A is 1, so I can just put XX. And then use your 2 and 7. Okay, so I have minus 9, so you're automatically going to have minus 7, and it's a sum, so the signs have to match. Okay. There was no GCF, so this is F1, and this is F2, okay? So x minus 2 can equal 0, or x minus 7 can equal 0. So plus 2, 1x equals 2, so there's your first answer. Plus 7, 1x equals 7, there's my second, 2 and 7. Okay, my next problem. So flip over. So how many answers? So we have x to the third. Okay. So there's 3. Okay. Now what do I have for x's? Okay. Well, I have x to the third. I have x to the second, and I have x. Okay. So I have all these different kinds of x's here. So I'm going to again have to use factoring. Okay, so I'm going to put factoring. Okay, so if I'm using factoring, I need to flip over to the back and count how many terms I have. And I have 4 on this one, okay? So if there's 4, we're going to set this up. It's the grouping, okay? So parentheses plus parentheses, and then with spaces outside. And then finally that. Okay, so I have 1x to the third power minus 3x to the second, and then I have a negative 9 and 27, okay? So we divide here. Now I don't have a negative, but I do have x on both these, so it'll be x to the second. And then 1 and 3, 1's the smallest, so I can't do much. Now here I do have a negative as the opening number. And I do not have x on both these, okay? 9 would be my smallest, so 1, 9. 9 divided by 2 is a decimal, and then double 3's, okay? So let's try 9. Okay, so 9 divided by 9 is 1, or 9 divided by 9 is 1. And then I divide 27 by 9, and I get 3, okay? So I want to divide by negative 9 here, so I need to factor out a negative 9, and then we're going to get 1x minus 3. Now over here we pull out x squared, and I have a 1. 3 minus 2 is 1, so I just put x minus 3. Okay, so we're good right there. All right, now in each parentheses we have 1x minus 3, so I'm going to put that out here, and then I cross those out, and then I have x to the second minus 9. Okay, now after we're done there, we need to check for adopts, okay? Now I have a minus here, but that's not a perfect square, okay? So I circle that. This is a minus, and 9 is 3 times 3, and x to the second is x times x. Okay, so I need to make that into double parentheses, so xx, 3, 3. And those are both prime factors now. We can't go any further. So 1x plus 3 could equal 0, because that's f1, f2, and f3 here. X plus 3 could equal 0, or x minus 3 could equal 0. Now, a funny thing happens, 2 of these are actually going to be the same. So 1x equals negative 3. One x is going to be negative 3 again, so my first couple answers are kind of the same. And then plus 3, 1x equals positive 3. Okay, my next problem. How many answers? So now we're back to a second power. And then what do I have for x's? Well, I have x to the second and I have x. So again, we have to use our factoring, okay? So to use factoring, we need to have this equal to 0. So I'm going to take 9 away. And 9's not going to line up with anything over there, so I need to put minus 9. Okay? So my new equation is 8x to the second power plus 6x minus 9 equals 0. Okay? I flip over the back, and I see we got 3 terms. So GCF and T. Okay, GCF, this time it's not as obvious. I don't have a negative. I don't have x on these, okay? And 6 is my smallest one, so 6 factors of 6. 1 and 6, 2 and 3, and then I'm back to 3. So we can't divide by 6 because right away that won't work with the 8. Now let's check 3. Nope. 2. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. Well, 6 divided by 2, yeah, it's 3. But 9 divided by 2, that's not a winner, okay? So GCF is none, okay? Okay, so I take A times C. So positive 8 times negative 9, and that gives me negative 72. So I got a negative, so I'm going to look for a difference of 6, okay? Nope. 72 divided by 2 is 36. Nope. 3 and 24. Nope. 72 divided by 4 is 18. Nope. 72 divided by 5, decimal. 72 divided by 6 is 12. Okay. And 12 minus 6 is 6. Okay, so I can use the 6 and the 12. Now here A is equal to 8. Okay, so we need 2 sets. Okay, so 8, 8, 8, and then XX, and then the 6 and the 12. Okay, so I have plus 6, so plus, and difference would be the opposite. Now I got to check these for division, okay? So 6 is the smallest one here, then 8's the smallest one there. So I got 1, 6, 2, 3, and for 8 I got 1, 8, and 2 and 4. 3 is a decimal, then I'm just back to 4. Okay, let's look at 6. Can you divide 8 by 6? Nope. Now 3. Nope. Let's try 2. So 2, that works. 6 divided by 2, that works. So let's divide down by 2. So it's 4x minus 3. Okay. All right, now let's check 8. Okay. 8 divides by itself. Does 12 divide by 8? Nope, decimal. Now 4. Yep, okay, 4 is going to work. So that takes me to 2x plus 3, okay? There was no GCF, so I have an F1, F2, okay? So 4 times x minus 3 can equal 0, or 2 times x plus 3 can equal 0. So plus 3, 4 times x equals 3. Now divide by 4. Okay, 3 divided by 4 is 0.75. Then minus 3, 2x equals negative 3. Divide by 2. Negative 3 divided by 2 is negative 1.5. Okay. That'll work. Okay, next problem. How many answers do I have? There's 2. Okay, now what do we have for x's? We only have x to the second power, and that's the only one I have. So it's only x to the second. So I'm going to go here. Now I want a box. I want to get my x's over here, so we already have our x's, and then I got to get the non-x's over on the other side. So I don't use factoring if x squared is the only thing I have. Okay, now I divide by 5. So x to the second equals 3, and then we're going to find the square root of both sides. So x equals a positive or a negative. And then I find the square root of 3, okay, 1.73. Okay, so those are your two answers, 1.73 and negative 1.73. Okay, next problem, 7x to the second minus 14x. So how many answers? Well, there's 2. Okay, and what do we have for x's? Well, I've got x to the second power, and I've got x, okay? So if I've got each one of those, we have to use factoring. So I need my equals 0, I have it. And then I go to the other side, and I see that there are 2 terms there, so 2 terms. So GCF, and then I see if I have adopts a difference of perfect squares. Okay, so GCF, do I have the negative in front? Nope, I got x's in both places, so x. And then 7, so factors of 7, 1 and 7, and that's going to be it. Okay, if we try to divide, we'll run into decimals all the way back to 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1, 14 divided by 7 is 2. Okay, so 7x is the GCF. That comes out. So that's 1x minus 2, okay? All right, difference of perfect squares. Well, it's a difference, but 2's not a perfect square. 2's not something I can write as something times itself, so we cross that out. That's going to be F1, that's going to be F2. So 7 times x can equal 0, or 1x minus 2 can equal 0. Divide by 7, I get 0 for my first answer. Plus 2, 1x equals 2 for the second. Okay, next one. Again, How many answers? Well, there's 2, okay? What do I have for x's? Well, I've got x to the second and x, okay? So again, you're going to have to use factoring. If you have more than one kind of x, you have to use factoring. So we have our 0. Now I flip over to the back side, and it's 3 terms. Okay, and that's going to be the GCF, and then our T organizer. Okay, GCF, do we have a negative in front? Nope. You got X on everything? Nope. And then 1's the smallest, so nope. Okay, so we take A times C, that's 1 times 3, and that's positive 3. Sum of 6, and then 1 and 3 is it, but 1 plus 3 is not 6, okay? That's all I can find, so that is a fail, okay? So we have this formula as a backup, okay? So the opposite of b is 6 plus or minus the square root, b squared minus 4. So b is negative 6, 4, a is 1, c is 3. And then I take 2 times 1, okay? Set that up. So we know we have a plus or minus, and I know I'm going to have 6. And 2 times 1 is 2. Now let's circle this so we can find that. So I'm going to make 2 square roots. And I'm going to take negative 6 times itself. And then I'm going to take 4 times 1 times 3. So that's positive 36. And then we always follow that up with a minus sign. And then that's 12. So that's 24. And now I find the square root of 24. So square root 24. I got 4.89 or 4.90. I don't care which one you put. So we add 6 plus 4.89 equals, and then divide that by 2, and that's 5.44 or 5.45. It doesn't matter. Okay. Then I minus 6 minus 4.89, click equals, divided by 2, and that's 0.55 or 0.56, okay? Either one's okay. Okay, my next problem. How many answers? Well, again, that's x is to the second power, so there's going to be 2, okay? So I say, okay, what do I have for x's? Well, what I have is an x in parentheses to the second power, okay? So if I have that, I'm going to want the q and the chart, okay? So q has a 5. It's going to be to the second power. It's going to be equal to 40. And then I solve. I'm going to divide by 5. So q to the second equals 8, and then I square root. Then I do the square root of 8, okay? And that gives me 2.83, okay? So positive 8, 2.83, or negative 2.83. And now I can bring in my x minus 4. Okay, so 2.83 plus 4 is going to be 6.83. And then plus 4, negative 2.83 plus 4 is 1.17. Okay. Okay, then the last one. Well, how many answers? Well, there's x, but there's no power, so there's only just 1. Okay, now what do we have for x's? Well, I just have an x in parentheses, and there's no second power to be found, okay? So if there's no second power, we're going to use our rainbows. 5x plus negative 20 equals 40. And then we just go from there. I just box. So 5 times x equals 60. Then I divide by 5, and 60 divided by 5 is 12, okay?